Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new sort of update video for Kingdom of Flesh. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So today in Kingdom of Flesh, today is going to be the ending time of really the 5th day of actual work on this, and then there's only going to be one more update video tomorrow before basically the final thing is submitted. I still want to work on this project obviously after basically it's done with the game jam and everything, but it's been a really fun experience, and hopefully we can get in the last bit of things that we need to have in order for a game to be successful. So starting off with the day, what I was able to do was I added in a bunch more sort of animations to terrain generation. That was one of the first things that I added. It makes it actually look and feel a lot nicer. I also went ahead and basically re-implemented the place and break system, meaning that you can place a block wherever and you can break a block wherever. Placing is also done by using X, and basically by doing this you now have a really simple sort of addition to the game where you can start to build things. So using logs, wood, stuff like that, you can actually start to build up your own things. I've also added a little bit of the farming system so that you can basically completely take out certain chunks of areas where you can use your shovel, which is what the settler gives you, to change grass into dirt. And then once the grass is turned into dirt, you can use the hoe to make it farmland, and then put seeds on that, and those seeds will grow throughout the day. Basically that's the sort of main idea. I've also made it so that you can plant acorns, so if you place down an acorn, it's going to basically create this little sapling, and with that sapling it's gonna stay there in the ground and then eventually grow up to be a tree. On that side of things, that's pretty much what I've added onto the sort of building aspect of the game. So now you can actually start building your own stuff if you want to. Of course, the only real object that you have to build with is logs, and that's not necessarily the best way to start building, but I'm going to be adding and expanding on how buildings work the next day. Basically what I also did and went ahead and implemented was the daylight cycle. So this daylight cycle is basically going to be constantly running. It's basically represented by the darkening and lighting of the screen, and that's going to basically be your way of telling whether it's day or night. And then I have an internal counter that counts what day it is. This is kind of important because the village works on a day system, so basically in the next day you have the chance of basically villagers spawning. This is going to spawn in the morning, of course, and that will allow you to add more villagers throughout the day. The first things first that they really want is that once the villagers spawn, what I want them to do is basically ask you for a house. Once you provide them with an adequate house, they're going to basically be able to move in, and then they'll stay as a permanent villager. Of course, this check has to be based upon whether or not your village can support it. For example, if you have a farm and stuff like that already up and running, because food is the other basic utility that you need in this sort of game. What I also did was added some tutorial text and stuff like that to the beginning, so that the second you launch into this new area, the settler will talk to you. I don't draw the settler on screen for the fact that I really want him to just sort of appear once you've gotten the base camp down. The settler will basically be your guide and utility for the next little bit. Now, I've also added the base camp indicator, which is this sort of bluish cyan diamond block in your inventory, and wherever you put it down, it's going to spawn the village. I haven't added the implementation of spawning in the village or the village base, but that's going to be one of the things that I want to work on later tonight. So that's sort of the main ideas of the things that I've covered, and what I'm going to be going ahead and showing you guys is that you can go ahead and do all the things I mentioned beforehand. I'll walk you through the world, and you guys really have to see it. It looks a lot nicer, and I think I've done a pretty good job with it. The next thing of order, of course, is talking about the changes I want to make into tomorrow, and then I'm going to go ahead and talk into basically the end of the jam. So tomorrow, one of the things I want to add in, or well, some of this is going to be tonight, obviously, but I want to add in the villager, so the village itself. So once you place down the block, it spawns a little base camp around it. It's going to clear out a certain area, then give you some extra items. The settler will basically appear and be here in the middle of your village, and basically the idea is that he'll tell you basically what you need to do in order to set up a proper sort of shelter. So the first thing that he's going to really have you do is he's going to give you a workbench, and then a chest. These two sort of items are going to be little blocks that you can place inside whatever area you want inside of your town. He'll also give you a bed, which helps you set your respawn point. So wherever you set your bed is going to be permanently set as your respawn point. Of course, you can break and move said bed, but it's just going to be your basis of operations. So you can go ahead and build your own house with that, and once you've built your own house, that's really what he's going to that's going to be what sort of starts the next thing. And the marker of you building your house is placing down your bed. Once you've already set up your base, the next thing that you're going to go ahead and do is that you want to go ahead and start setting up basically a farm. The settler is going to teach you how to set up a farm, and then you can go ahead and start building villager houses. After you've set up the farm, which is going to have some certain specifications about it, then he's going to go ahead and ask you to build a house for him to live in. Basically, his entire goal is that he's going to stay inside of that house, and then he's going to go ahead and come out every single day, and what he'll do is that he'll be sitting in the square if you ever need help or advice. He's going to be pretty instrumental in the beginning parts of the game. The next thing is that I want it to be that in the village square every day you're going to be able to potentially get a sort of new... I want it to be set up so that you can potentially start to get new villagers and things like that. And that's going to be counted by the number of sort of farm blocks within a certain radius of the village center. As your village grows, this radius that counts is going to be larger and larger. This way we can go ahead and look a lot more at some of these core mechanics. Now, one of the other things that I really want to add is I want to add the saving system. You need to have saves in order for chunks to save and remember sort of your locations. That's going to be pretty crucial, alongside saving basic game data as well. This way you can always continue on with your game. This is kind of the next important thing that I really got to get sorted out before we can continue on with the sort of villager system. But the next part of the villager system is going to be adding in workers, and then workers are going to generate some certain town statistics day over day. So the first thing you need is the farmer. The farmer is going to basically generate a certain amount of wheat per day. Excess wheat goes to you, the player. The idea of this is that basically you're going to be able to continuously continue to grow your overall, colony, as it would be. What will happen automatically with the farmer is that the farmer will stay around the area of basically your field. So wherever you have the initial farm set up, he's going to stay around there and basically make sure that whichever crops grow into wheat get replanted into sort of seeds, and he'll provide a certain yield per day that will go into your village. The next sort of thing that I want to do is add a lumberjack and basically a miner. The miner is going to pretty much sit in his house, but he'll generate a certain amount of stone and other ores per day, which you can basically collect or trade with him for. Now, one of the things I want to do for mining is that I want to add the possibility that you can get more rare sort of minerals and things like that as well, as a random chance, and also based on what tool you use to mine stone. This way you can have a bunch of upgrades and you can eventually get a lot better. I want to add in basically all of the classes of villagers. Most of them are going to be pretty simple to add into the game, and they shouldn't be too hard to do after we get the initial AI system set up. So I really want to go ahead tomorrow and just sort of start the village, set up the AIs, and then once that's done and I have working versions of every single villager, then we can go ahead and just progress on sort of more of the niche parts of the game. Obviously, the next important system that I want to set up is going to be raids, and raids will have to be spawned basically after your initial grace period, and it will cost swarms of bandits, and bandits you can combat with. This is a lot of things to do, but it's 36 hours or so before the actual end of time that I have, so I think we'll be able to get a lot of this done. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and actually look at getting into the game. So getting into the game here, I'm going to click on Kingdom of Flesh, and it's immediately going to bring up the settler talking to you. So the settler says, "Welcome to the wilderness, explorer. I know it's been a long journey, but we can finally begin to set up a village. I've placed a village indicator in your inventory. Please place it where you wish for the village to begin. Be wise about your location." So currently, looking at your inventory, I've given you basic tools, but you wouldn't have the shovel normally, but I'm just doing it for testing purposes. Otherwise, you would just have whatever you had in the main sort of village, the main tutorial village. I will join you once again. Once you've made your choice, don't worry, I will teleport to your location. To place the indicator, use the X button over grass. This will set up a base camp to expand from. Good luck. Then it says, "In the wilderness, you are less confined than the village. You can place blocks using cross in suitable locations, like on grass. Do be aware that the days will pass quickly." And as you guys kind of saw, we sort of started transitioning into main daytime, and we still are. Walking around here, you can notice physics, number 1, is a thing. 2, you'll also notice that there's a lot of animations. So I went ahead and animated pretty much every texture, and this only applies in the wilderness for now. I can go back and do the tutorial at a different time. But we also have this flowers and grass. So once you break flowers, it gives you seeds, which is pretty much expected. Next thing that you can go ahead and do is, if you take your axe, you can cut down trees. It's pretty self-explanatory, of course. Gonna do that. One of the artifacts of terrain generation right now is that it creates these lines of trees. It's kind of useful because it's an indication of where you are inside of the chunk system, but it also could be conceived as pretty annoying and not aesthetically pleasing. Luckily for you though, you can take the acorns here, place them, and boom, it plants this little sapling. The sapling will eventually grow up. The growth tick system is one of the things I'll be doing basically next, and it's not going to be too hard to do. Right now, of course, you can go ahead and mine stone, and it's pretty much as you'd expect. Next thing I want to show off is basically being able to break grass. Breaking grass results in giving you seeds, and to replace this grass, you just need to put the seeds over it. This way you can go ahead and set up whatever you need. Next thing you can do is you can use the hoe. Using the hoe will actually turn this into this farmland block. The other thing with this is that you can go ahead and basically press it over again to toggle between these two. Next thing you want to do is put basically the seeds here, and these seeds will grow over time once that system is implemented. If at any time you want to stop growing the seeds here, you can use your hoe to take those as well. This being said, that's pretty much what I have there, and I'm going to eat an apple here to maintain my hunger. Next thing I want to cover is right here, is the logs. I'm going to take the logs and move them into my bottom of my inventory here. And And then taking these logs, you can place them on sand, or you can place them on, what's it called? Or on the grass. Either way, it pretty much acts as you would expect it to, and you can recollect it with an axe. One of the bugs that it does do is that it sets sand to grass, which is kind of annoying, but I don't really have much use for sand right now. So once again, we can go ahead and collect things throughout here, and basically everything works as you would expect. Right now, the way that I've set it up is that it's going to be a daylight system that lasts 5 minutes for each side of the cycle. So it's going to take you 5 minutes in order to be able to, you only have basically 5 minutes of daytime, and then you have 5 minutes of nighttime. It's technically a little less because daytime goes into evening, and sort of the morning a lot quicker than it does the nighttime. So the nighttime is actually technically longer than the daytime. That being said, with what we have right now, we can go ahead and eventually I'm going to just let you place this here, and that's going to be the start of the next sort of system. But from an overall point of view, I think the game has really progressed a lot in this last day, especially when it comes to the overall sort of polish of the daytime systems and the entire infinite world system. Of course, there's still a lot to do, and I'm going to get working on that. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.